Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We welcome you once again to O'Neill's Grill for our weekly fan and press luncheons with JMU basketball coaches. As this was 2020 weekend, I'd like to call it, as both the JMU men and the women both reached the nice milestone of 20 victories on the weekend. The men winning on Saturday against Delaware. We'll talk about that with Coach Brady in a bit. And, of course, the women, they won 2 games at home this weekend as well, beating William and Mary by 20 points, 83 to 63, and then Towson yesterday, 61 to 45. And Coach Brooks, the Dukes now have won 13 in a row, 15 in a row at the Convocation Center. This weekend, interesting ball games, we'll say, at the Convocation Center. Both of them kind of had their own little characteristics. But of all of the quarters or halves, where do you felt the Dukes played their best basketball this weekend?
I probably, if you want to rank it, probably the first half of the William and Mary game. I thought we were really focused. We had a lot of energy. We came out, we got a boost, getting Ashley Perez back. I thought we played extremely well in that basketball game in the first half. We actually were really deep, to the point. I thought we played well. I just can't say that I coached a great game. I just felt a little bit discombobulated with the amount of players available to me, which is the first time we've had, our whole roster available to us at one time this season. We came out in the second half. I thought we got a little bit lethargic. Give William and Mary credit. They never gave up, and we weren't able to expand on the lead. We actually had a 29-point lead with a minute and some change to go, and we gave them 9 straight points. But, all in all, 20-point victory. A lot of people contributed. While we're still trying to find ourselves. I thought we played a really good basketball game. Sunday games have been challenging for us. I think they've been challenging for a lot of teams just because of the short turnaround. But it's also the style of play, which made it for a, ugly is a strong word, that you want to say when you come away with a 16-point victory. But it's just the nature of the game. They sat back in a zone and they really precluded us from running the fast break, and they ran the shot clock down, so they really wanted to minimize the number of possessions. And, Sunday I just felt like we were like a caged animal that finally was released when we got the ball on offense. And sometimes, and it's kind of an analogy that when a dog is tied up for long portions of the day and you finally let them loose in the backyard, they just want to run around. That's the way I felt like when we finally got the ball on offense. And there were several times where I'm like telling them to slow down, and they'd shoot it, just because I just felt like they were caged all day. But it's a game that we're going to learn from. I alluded to that type of game like a playoff type game, not because of the atmosphere or the up and down excitement, but because you're going to have days like that when you get to the conference tournament where defense is going to have to win you the basketball game. Maybe the ball's not falling in the basket, but you got to find different ways to win the basketball game. And I thought we did that. It may not have been the prettiest of games or, the way we would have envisioned, having that game played out. But needless to say, you came away with a victory, which is very, very important. And I'm really proud of these kids. I think it's 13 in a row. They're taking it one game at a time, and we sit, top of the league right where we want to be.
Several weeks ago it seems like this season has had just this theme of re-identifying, finding your identity as you go along. And I recall in December that maybe there was some areas we talked about pressing actually in a game where you had a large lead as opposed to working on areas that you needed to solidify. And where I'm going with that is your interior defense. Where do you feel that the defense is right now on the inside compared to where it was right before conference play began?
Well, I think it's leaps and bounds ahead of where it was. And a lot of that has to do with solely with the development of Kayla Cooper-Williams, who, by the way, is get my okay. The Rookie of the Week again for the 4th time. We might have to rename that award, but she's doing a fantastic job, and it's a direct correlation of our success on the inside. She's done a really good job of altering shots and blocking shots as she leads the league in block shots. But what's really helping us, her defense has always been ahead of her offense, but her offense is slowly catching up. She's able to, get some stick backs, get offensive rebounds, put it back. We're able to go to her now for some offensive moves. It's really helping us, and it's really taking some of the pressure off of Dee Dee Griffin, where Dee Dee doesn't have to guard the best player inside all the time and wear her out. And the two as a tandem, they may be two of the best tandem rebounders that I've had. They fight each other for rebounds sometimes, which is a good thing. And then now with the addition of Destiny Jones, who's clearly, she's not in tip-top shape, but she's working herself into basketball shape, and it's better late than never. She's a senior. She had injuries to start the season, really fought fatigue and being out of shape during the middle of the season, and now she's providing some depth for us now, which is really helping us. And then obviously getting Ashley back, it allows us to drop Jasmine down to the 4 sometimes in the rotation. So I really like where our interior defense is, because all of those kids are pretty good defenders, and they work really hard, and they're really good rebounders. And I think that in itself is something that really helped us even yesterday. Yesterday when the ball's not falling in the basket, I think our defense, altering shots and everything, really kept us in the game. You would think that you hold someone to 14 points at halftime, and it's funny because we held them to 14 points, and they had two easy baskets at the end. It would have been 10, but you would have hoped we would have had a much larger lead than we did, but it still keeps us in the basketball game with our defense. I thought our defense was really good all weekend, except for the second half of William & Mary.
As I mentioned, you reached the 20 win mark. I know that this program is accustomed to winning many more than that every year, but 11 consecutive years that you've won at least 20 ball games, Coach, this being your 14th season. And when you have a program, things that happen or you develop years beforehand kind of carry over into the next year. And where I'm going with this is watching Dee Dee Griffin run up and down the floor now compared to where she was before. Does she use what she saw Lauren Okafor do last year in kind of reinventing herself? Does opportunities like that, do they carry on to the youngsters if they can pick up on those situations?
Absolutely. Going back to your 20 win, like orange is the new black. For us, 24 is a new 20. And we've 20 is fantastic, and it's something. David Taylor says it to me a lot, and it really doesn't register because we're really looking for 24. And ironically, we have 4 games left in the season with 20 wins under our belt. So we want to make it 11 straight years of 24 wins. But getting to your point, you're exactly right. Dee Dee has fought conditioning her whole time here, and I'm not saying anything that I don't say to her. She knows that, understands that. Dee Dee's one of the more talented players that we've had here, very much in the same lines as Toya Jiggets. Just needed to really get herself into shape so that she could get to that talent level. What Lady Okafor did last year was not only remarkable for that year, it's going to be remarkable for us in years to come, because we're always going to allude to what Lady did to better herself, to get her able to play at peak performance. And that's what we've said it. Dee Dee may be tired of hearing that story, but nonetheless, it has helped her. It really has, because she saw firsthand what it did for Lady. And I'm proud of Dee Dee because we really harped on her, and I was really hard on her during various parts of the preseason in the summertime, letting her know that pretty much I actually told her, I said, you're going to be the difference. You're going to be the reason that we either win 17 games this year or win 25 games this year. And I said, if you're not in shape, we're going to win 17. If you're in shape, I think we'll win 25. And I saw the pressure mounting on her at that moment because she started sweating bullets at that time. But she knew the importance of her and her performance directly towards the success of our team. And she's taken it very well. Still, I like to get her a little bit more consistent. As you watched her on Friday night, she had a very dominating 12-point, 18 rebound game. Followed that up with a 7.9 rebound game that I felt like she wasn't as in tune to the game as much as she was on Friday. But if Dee Dee is playing as well as she did on Friday night, we're really hard to beat. If she's playing like she did on Sunday, it's going to be a little bit more of a struggle. She understands that. We know that. But she definitely has the model to pattern herself after, just watching players before her.
Of course, when you win many games year in and year out, you also get good fan support. So now 37 consecutive games, or is it 38 now, that 2,000 or more have been at the JMU Convocation Center. And one of the things about Friday night was when Ashley Perez came back into the contest, the reaction from the fans there my color commentator on Matazone, Adam Coolball, who's a senior, he got chills, and Erin Cash, from what she says, shed a tear when she hit the three. I mean, it was really an emotional moment for the basketball program, for Ashley, and probably for you too.
Well, internally, it's very emotional because we know how much work she put in going into the senior year. We knew how important it was. You know, she came from a program that didn't get much support to come in here, and it feels like family. And how JMU embraced her right from the start, even though she didn't play 4 years here. And we knew that she was really anticipating a very successful senior year. So when she's fought, you know, various injuries throughout the season, and she's come back. She's probably the toughest kid that I have, and for her to be out for as long as she's been out, it's been very frustrating for her. It's been sad for us. Erin Cash has worked diligently to get her to the point where she can perform and play. So that's Erin's attachment to the situation. I have an attachment to the situation because my senior year here at JMU, I tore ligaments in my ankle about the same time that Ashley did, and I think I missed about the same amount of time that Ashley did. And we had various conversations about it. I was able to expand upon my experiences of the road to coming back, the frustrations, the ups and the downs of coming back, and I shared that with her to try to brace her to let her know that, you know, the second you come back, you're not going to be the exact player when you get back out on the court. So when I put her in, I called her name, and she went in. The reception that she got from JMU Nation was unbelievable. The way that they really recognized her hard work, her importance to our program, lets you know that they're very knowledgeable fans. They appreciated her for what she has done, and what she's going to do for us. And we were just really expecting to get her in and just get her some cardio. And, you know, so all of my talks with her saying, hey, you're probably not going to be this, you're probably not going to do this when you get back, it went out the window when she banged in that first three in Ashley fashion. And she looked like she had never skipped a beat. You know, never skipped a beat. She's playing on adrenaline, did a fantastic job. So I was very happy for her, got her back. Sunday was a little bit different story. She played very well, but, you know, there were some things that kind of flared up that we knew we needed to limit her situation, which is natural, natural for 2 days out. So she's going to have a good week of rehab, and then hopefully we can get back to a normal rotation with her. But very happy that she's back, very happy that she's able to get some games under her belt, very happy that she was able to play 2 games in front of our crowd, because people don't understand how much they mean to us and for these kids. And Ashley was very disappointed that she was missing the amount of games that she missed, but she was more disappointed that she was missing JMU games. You know, it's easier to know you're missing a game in front of 100 people than to miss it in front of plus 2,000 people that are screaming for you. So we're happy we have her back, and hope to get her back and get the rotation solidified.
I have one more comment, and then we'll turn it over to other members of the media here. And this gives us an opportunity. We did mention Erin Cash, and what I want to kind of get your take on here, Coach, is there is a lot of support across the board with the 17 varsity sport programs, the NCAA sport programs at James Madison. And one of the key areas for Mr. Bourne, the athletics director, is sports medicine. Of course, Tom Custer is the assistant AD for sports medicine as well. But speak to how that is important to your program. Usually the only time they get mentioned is if there's an injury and they come out onto the court or on the football field or something of that sort. But they put in as many hours as anybody else, and to make sure that these student athletes are as nutritionally healthy as well as physically healthy to play for you.
I tell you what, and you guys can quote me on this, our sports medicine department is second to none. Hands down, the comfort level that they give me as a coach with the care that they're going to give our kids really makes it easy for me to relay that message to the parents because of the confidence that I have in them and the tireless hours that they put out. And it's a really comforting feeling when you know you're sending your kids to Tom, to Dr. Deduck, to Dr. Miller, who does the surgeries and whatnot. When kids have to do it, they balance each other out. Dr. D can make the worst of situations seem like it's going to be okay, and that's really what you want. Dr. Miller is more straight to the point, and you need that as well. But the care that these kids get, it's something that we boast in recruiting. When we can let a parent know that your child is going to be taken care of if there is such a situation where they need be, it's very, very helps us. It helps us so much, only in recruiting and everything else. But they are tireless workers. They do a fantastic job, and if there is a way to get a kid healthy, they'll find a way. They do a fantastic job, and I really appreciate them.
All right, thank you, Coach. Let's turn it over to other members of the media here at O'Neill's Grill with our weekly Fan and Press Luncheon with JMU women's basketball coach Kenny Brooks.
So, Coach, with Ashley, do you get the sense that she learned a lot from her unique perspective of being on the bench for the last month or so?
She learned that she missed it. Ashley's she's a firecracker, and she's going to go out and she's going to play on emotion and whatnot. But it just let her know that how lucky she was in the situation that she was in, and how much she appreciated it. And she fought, tirelessly with extra rehab sessions to get back to where she is right now to be able to go out and perform. And I just love her. I love her energy. I love her attitude. And she's, she had an extra pep in her step, all weekend, just knowing that she was able to contribute to a couple of wins.
With Kayla, we've talked about how she's been ahead of schedule. How is she like a sponge in a way in terms of absorbing feedback, getting better really quickly? She's
even keel. I think I told a story the other day where a referee made a very, very bad call against her. I mean, it was very obvious. And in this day and age where you see so many of the NBA superstars and even trickle down to college, everyone wants to contest what the referee calls in a very visible manner. She just kind of looked at him and smiled and shook her head, and it was clearly a bad call. And when I watched the film, I said, "Why didn't you say anything? Why weren't you demonstrative and letting him know that he made a bad call?" And she said, "Because it wouldn't have changed anything, and I need to get back on defense." And I'm like, "Okay," and that's just her. That's her, and that's the way that she learns. I can challenge her. I can yell. I can coddle and whatever. She listens to the message, and I think that really helps her go a long way. Very quiet kid. We even had a situation this year, and I don't want to give too much information, but someone was very wrong, and they blamed her for something, and she kind of looked at them, and she didn't dispute it, and she said it didn't matter. I know I didn't do it, but that's just the kind of kid that she is. Great kid, always wants to learn, and Jasmine's had a terrific year, and Muff's had a terrific year, but I think a lot of our success has to be attributed to the fact that she's come a long way in such a short time.
Well, we've talked about how special this group is, and as we're approaching the final home game of the season, do you get the sense that, although they're very focused, they're also a very loose group, and are they starting to realize now that, the number of games, although they want to play as deep into March as they can, it's getting smaller and smaller?
They are. I tell you what they focus on more is not necessarily the amount of total games. What I hear them talking about is the amount of games they have left at the Convocation Center. And that countdown began probably 2 weeks ago. And they were like, 3 weeks from now, it's going to be over. And you can hear sadness in their voice because they really enjoy, this and what it is. We've even talked about practicing our dances when they come out, and how we're going to do that on senior night. It's going to be a very emotional day for us because these kids have done so much for us. But overall, they haven't talked about the end yet, just the end of their career at the Convocation Center. But very special group. They're very focused on, short-term goals and what they need to, because they know short-term goals lead to long-term goals.
On that playing at the Convocation Center note, when you go on the road and there's 150, 200, do you hear your team talking about it to one another about, wow, there's really nobody here?
Oh, all the time. All the time. Their facial expression says it. We anticipate it. We talk about generating our own emotion. I tell you what we do have. If there's 100, 150 people in the stands, 75 are ours. We travel very well. I mean, we go to Northeastern and we have a contingency at Northeastern. And so that helps a lot. But what I think it really does, it helps them to really appreciate what we do have and how special the Convocation Center is, how special JMU Nation is, and that's a part of our success. And the kids understand that, they know that, and they know they want to try to keep them coming back for generations to come. we had Andrea Benvenuto, who is the second all-time leading assist person in JMU history. She was my first point guard, and she came back to a game yesterday, and she was marveling at, just the atmosphere. And even she said, you guys are big time now. You have ushers that usher you to your seats now and make you sit where you're supposed to sit, which didn't happen back then. But, it's just something that, she was a part of building. These kids know that they're part of building it and for generations to come.
With Ashley coming back and the time she was out, you developed a rotation. Was there any concern about how much to insert her and how that might derail the rotation of the success you have been having?
Very much so, and I think that's what I was kind of talking about when I was trying to manage minutes on Friday night. Adding her into the rotation, I haven't had to do that in 10 games, and she kind of messed it up a little bit, but it was a welcome messed up, and it's a problem that we'll have to get. And we looked at the game yesterday, and rotations were different yesterday than they were on Friday night, and we're just going to have to try to this week solidify that as we head into the conference tournament play. And normally I feel really comfortable when we're playing about 9 people in the tournament, and we have probably 11 people who are worthy of playing, but we just got to really solidify that rotation, and it should be a really fun week as they go out and they try to battle.
And a challenge to go into Wilmington on Friday. It's a long trip there to get ready for a quick turn. How much do you do any double coaching? What I mean is we'll work on this for this game, but we're going to use this for Sunday. Do you do any of that, knowing that you're such a quick turn?
Not at all. I'm not smart enough to do that. I can't. I can only focus on one thing at a time. And I really feel like I'll be cheating one situation if I'm not focused on one at a time. And what it makes for is, college prepares you for a lot. And they say college prepares you for life. And I guess they were right, because I was a procrastinator when I was in college, and I would cram the night before for a test. So it's really helped me when we have one-day turnaround and I have to cram for the game on Sunday, on Saturday. So maybe that has helped me a little bit. But we only do one game at a time. And when we get back on Saturday, it makes for a very long day for my assistants, myself. That we cram and make sure we get all the information on Saturday to deliver it to the kids on Saturday afternoon, and hopefully come out and we play on Sunday, and we're able to retain it and apply it, which has been a challenge. I don't think we've been as sharp, and I don't think anyone's really been as sharp on Sundays as they are on Fridays. So needless to say, I'm not a proponent of the Friday-Sunday format, just for the record.
There was some Twitter activity about that yesterday, too, that were not fans of the Friday, Sunday.
From fans or coaches?
From fans.
Good.
Fans, yeah. Actually, a fan who is also a high school coach. We'll say that.
Okay.
So they understand it. Well, Coach, good luck as you head to UNC Wilmington for Friday night. And then Dukes are back at home for the final time during the regular season. The Dukes facing the Phoenix of Elon, Senior Day, 2 o'clock. Make sure you get into the stands early, because it is Senior Day, and you want to see that senior recognition with that group. It's one group right after another, Coach.
Gosh.
And you seem to keep rolling them there through, but it will be an emotional day Sunday at the JMU Convocation Center.
Every year, I never think that it could get any worse than it is that year, and then the next year it gets worse.
All righty. Thank you for joining us here at O'Neill's Grill. We'll have Coach Matt Brady in a short time.